All right. Hello. Just gonna come on here real quick. Good morning. How's everyone doing over there? Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if we're looking good. Excited to be testing out live number 2 here on YouTube. Today we're going to be doing a workshop around building automated lead generation systems in 2025 with everything you need to know about SEO. So let me see if I can make sure y'all can hear me good. Okay, great. Cool. All right. And then if you're joining in live or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and just put in the chat. Let us know. If you're live, put live. And if you're watching the replay, put replay. And we'll go ahead and dive on in here. So I'm going to hide my face so we can bring up the slides. And that way you can see everything that we're going to be covering in the next, ideally, 60 to 75 minutes here. So let me know if you can see the screen and the slides. Great. All right. Let's dive on in, y'all. So today we're going to be covering a workshop around how to build your own automated lead generation system in 2025. Hello and welcome to the new year. Yeehaw! Now, I want to just address this real quick. How do you know if you're in the right place? How do you know if this workshop, this presentation is going to be for you? So option number 1, if you are a service provider, a small business owner, or somebody who wants to get found online by your ideal clients, then you're in the right place. Number 2, if you're a marketer who is looking for a better way to have more automation in your business, whether it's with your site or with your offers, then again, you're in the right place. Awesome. And then number 3 here, if you're a business owner, course creator, or an educator who wants to establish more credibility in the industry, whatever industry you're in, then this workshop is also going to be for you. So we really have one goal here today, and that goal is to help you learn how to make your marketing work for you. And the way that we're going to show you how to do that is through one thing called SEO. Now, just a quick little introduction. Hey, hello, my name is Soph. Let me just pop on here so you can see my face. Hi. So just a little bit about me. I think these things are important for anyone that's kind of tuning in. If this is your first time coming into my world, I just want to hit on a few key points because credentials, in my opinion, do matter. The first thing that you should know about me is I am a SaaS agency owner. So it's a play on words with my brand name, meaning we use and sell software as part of our business model. And so we've been doing this since 2020 for about 5 years now. And then on top of that, I've been in the online space since 2016. So it's getting close to a decade. Finally, I got certified as an equity-centered leader, basically a big study in diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism back in 2021. And I am also a self-taught web developer and web designer, and now an app developer, which is really, really fun. But let's get into this because I think there's some fun things that I want to talk about with you and for anyone who's tuning in. Now, 2016 to 2019, this is what I would call my Instagram boss babe era, where as you can see here, I did everything on Instagram and Facebook, and that was the way I ran my business. And the funny thing about this, whenever we look back, is that social media, quote unquote, worked, but like many of you, it was a full-time job and there was never any end in sight. It was always something that you had to be on with, and I could never really stop. And so that led me to feeling a lot of what this little image depicts perfectly, which is feeling like you're in this constant cycle of going into a big launch where you're ramping up your marketing, you're going really, really hard, and then you have a bunch of income come in through your launches, but then on the back end, you have to focus on client delivery until we have to go back into launch mode. Why? Because when we're not marketing and we're not leveraging social media, our revenue is taking a hit. And so then we have to go back into that big launch again. And so we live in this cycle constantly of needing to market really big and then have a bunch of clients go into delivery and repeat, rinse and repeat. Now, for many folks and for many of the clients that I've worked with, we can all attest to saying that this isn't really a very sustainable way to run our business. And whether you're doing this with paid ads or with social media, it can feel really daunting because it doesn't ever end. And in 2019, 2020, this is kind of where I was at. I was finding myself being 3, 4 years into running this pattern, running this cycle, and feeling at my ends with what I was going to do next. So, of course, like most business owners, I tried a bunch of things. I tried constantly posting on Instagram and Facebook, but didn't get really much rest or reprieve from those platforms. I invested over $20,000 in an ads agency thinking that that would solve all my problems, and that did not have any return. I tried hiring social media managers, but because I was a content creator myself, I was always feeling more disappointed with the content that other people would create and never really felt like it got my voice. And then I even tried building all of the fancy funnels, doing 3-day live events, launching podcasts, going live daily, but none of these things really stuck, and they left me in the same toxic cycle that we're talking about over here. And the reason why I didn't really understand until later in 2020, when I started to explore things around what SEO marketing is, how it works, and understanding the lifespan of a social media post. And I think this is probably one of the best images that I can give you. And to reference as well, this is actually data from the refinery.io. You'll see that down here on the bottom left-hand corner. They did a study on social media posts and content to see how long does the average piece of content, depending on what platform you're working with, live, meaning how long does it stay visible, get traction, get reach, engagement, etc. And what they found is most social media platforms, we're talking TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you're looking from 30 minutes to a max of maybe 2 days. If your content doesn't go viral, which most folks know that 99% of your content isn't going to go viral. And so that can feel really daunting because what that means for most content creators is if you're not constantly posting every day or every couple of days, then you quickly become irrelevant to the platform. Now, this got me really curious, so I started to do more research and see, okay, well, what about YouTube? And YouTube has a much longer time span. We're talking 20 plus days for the average piece of content, depending on how well it's optimized, which is almost 10 times what you would get with an Instagram post. So it gives you a lot more leeway and flexibility. Pinterest is another option depending on what kind of business you have. The average pin continues to gain traction for up to 4 months. But the real one that got me was the blog post. The average blog post has a lifespan of up to 1 year, meaning a blog post that you post today, January 15th, 2025, will continue to grow in reach and engagement and traffic for at least 1 year. That's the magic of what we're talking about today and what I want to show you and how you can use this for your business. So circa 2020 to 2025, the last 5 years here, this is where we put all of our time and energy. I went really hard on blogging and went into creating over 100 different blogs on my site. Also launching our YouTube channel, which we went through a few different phases with, but I would say we really started to take seriously in the last year, and it started to grow again steadily. Now, this isn't just about the content that we're creating, but more importantly, and the thing that we really want to measure and that matters, is how that content is benefiting your business. Now, these are screenshots I took this morning, and these are all different searches on Google. We're different pages on my site. We're talking about one of the courses here, or sorry, the workshop, a course, a free opt-in. These are all pages that are ranking on Google, whether it be the first page or the second page. They're pages that are driving traffic from Google, from people who are searching for these types of things and finding my content. And that's really what we want. That's really the benefit of leveraging something like SEO marketing for your business. So what are the results of that? Well, the biggest thing that I personally find is that it's been a beautiful way to consistently grow my email list. And we'll talk more about this as we go through this training. The other thing that I found is that through leveraging things like Google SEO, it's allowed me to have consistent inquiries, business partnerships, people reaching out every single week. And these are people who are actually qualified buyers. I'm not having to spend time nurturing or educating. They know what they're looking for and they're finding it on my site. Of course, this is allotted for one thing that we all crave, which is consistent and steady income. And then the biggest thing for me, especially after having my kiddo, was the time freedom to focus on business growth and client delivery. Instead of spending all of my time on marketing, I was able to actually shift my focus and focus more so on things that moved the business forward. Now, I really want to emphasize this because what I'm talking about here, it's not this far-fetched idea that only the 1% can have. It's not that you need to be this crazy influencer or that you need to have a gajillion followers or any of these things. It's actually really simple, and it's simply understanding what SEO is. So let's get into it. SEO sounds really techy, and I know for a lot of folks, you hear this and it's kind of like, ah! But really what it is it's talking about search engine optimization. And all search engine optimization is, it means you are creating content that is optimized to be found by the people who are looking for it. So let's break this down a little bit more granularly here. Somebody goes to Google and they have a question, right? Whenever we have a question, what do? We say, Google it. Right? And you can think of SEO if you want a fun little thing to relate to here. It's called being Googleable, is what a good friend used to say. And so a user has a question, somebody has a question, they go to Google and say, Google, answer this question. What Google does, and the way that I like to think about Google, is it's like a giant library, a giant archive full of data and information. And it's going to go and take that question that you're asking, look through all of its archives, everything that it has in its library, pull the most relevant piece of information, and then hand you the different options based on how other people have rated them. When you click on that piece of content and you look at that piece of content, whether it's a blog page or a sales page or a services page, then that piece of content that you end up landing on continues to build its credibility because you are doing something really magical, which is called ending the user's search, meaning you're solving their problem. And if you can solve a user's problem, which for Google is that they aren't searching anymore, right? They're looking for something and they find it, then you become somebody who is more credible in the eyes of Google and our YouTube. So let's talk about this. Here are some examples of SEO marketing. You go to Google and you type in something like best DIY SEO course for beginners, best whatever that thing is that you're looking for, how to know if you have PCOS, best vegan protein powder. We use Google and search engines every single day, and we don't even really think about how we're using them. But here's the power of knowing what somebody is searching for. If you are somebody like myself and you're creating content, you're creating services and offers around SEO marketing, and you know your users are searching for best DIY SEO courses, well, the magic is if you know how to leverage SEO, you know how to optimize your content for search, you're going to rank, as you can see here, on the first page of Google, and users will start to actually find you organically through Google and YouTube. Meaning you're no longer having to put in all of that effort and labor into trying to get noticed on social media, but instead what you're able to do over here is people are finding you through the content that you've already created. So let's break this down a bit more, because I think the question always comes up of like, well, what is the difference between SEO versus social media? And it's actually really simple. Social media is known as outbound marketing or interruption marketing, meaning you're creating content on social media that is going out towards the user. They're not actively seeking you on social. You are creating content trying to interrupt their scroll, disrupt their scroll, get their attention, right? And that's really the merchant model of social media marketing. Now, with SEO marketing, it's different. It's called inbound marketing. It's an inbound platform, meaning you're not trying to compete and get attention and putting all of this content out. You are creating content and that's bringing people in. And you're bringing people in because people are going to search platforms looking for what you have. They're going to Google and searching for best X, Y, and Z, somatic practitioner near me, whatever that thing is, and they're looking for it. And if you have content that is optimized to rank on these platforms, then you are going to get found. That is the way that SEO works. That is why it is different than social media. And it's also why this can be something that is so much more profitable for folks who don't just want to be content creators on these platforms. Now, I love data. You're gonna learn this about me the more that you spend time here. I had to go and pull some stats, and this here is just a fun little data point from the, I believe, Hootsuite um, annual report that they did, that's showing us that the average person who uses social media platforms in 2024, we're talking ages 25 to 45 to 55, every single one of these, it's friends and family. And then we've got filling up spare time, and then we've got reading news stories, and then we've got finding content, see trending topics, right? And then down towards the bottom, we have things like find products to buy, idea of things to do or buy. And that's something that I think is really, really important to think about, because if you are somebody who is a business owner and you are trying to leverage your services and sell online, we want to understand how people are using these platforms. And if we're primarily relying on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn to try to sell our services, but the number one reason why people use these platforms, the majority of the reasons are because they're bored, because they want to connect, because they're looking for entertainment, it can feel like a really big uphill battle and can create a lot of disappointment and frustration. Now, on the other hand, we look at things like how people use Google and YouTube to make their buying decisions. And this article here, this data point here, is talking about how people discover new brands. How do they actually find new businesses, new brands, new companies that they're looking for? Now, if your target audience is under the age of 34, you're going to see a lot here with social media ads as the top thing, meaning they're not actually seeking it, but they're finding brands through advertising on social media. And I think that's an important distinction. It's not organic content, it's paid ads on these social platforms that's getting their attention. Okay. And then what do we have over here? We have search engines. Woo! So search engines right underneath ads is the second most popular way for audiences under the age of 34. If your audience is 35 plus, well, search engines are going to be your best friend, because that is the number one way that people find new brands, new businesses. And so if you are trying to grow your business, if you are trying to grow your reach, grow your audience, get found by new leads, not just clients who already know you exist, then search engines are going to be the best way for you to do that. Obviously, TV ads, probably not something we're going to be leveraging a whole lot, but then we get into things like word of mouth, referral, right? Brand websites, and then at the very bottom, we have social media comments. But again, these are things that you want to think about when you're looking at building your brand and how you're leveraging these different platforms. And I think the next question that we oftentimes get is this one. Well, will people actually buy from Google? If people find me on Google or YouTube, are they actually going to become a paying customer? Valid question. Let's talk about client buying phases. So this is a concept we've been talking about since 2018, a long time now. And there are essentially three client buying phases that you want to understand. The first buying phase is folks who are basically seeking entertainment, unaware that they have a problem, or they don't even think it's a problem yet. The next stage is going to be folks who are seeking information. They're aware that they have a problem, but they don't really understand what the problem is or how it works. So now they're trying to understand it. And then the third stage, or the third phase here, is folks who are actively seeking a solution. They know what their problem is. They understand what the problem is, and now they're trying to solve that problem, and they're looking for something to solve it. Now, the interesting thing about social media versus SEO marketing is social media focuses a lot on getting people to understand that they have a problem. We spend so much time on social media marketing educating our viewers on what their problem is and helping them become aware that, hey, this is your problem. This is why it's a problem. Look at these pain points that I think you might have and why this is going to impact your life in a negative way. And then we have to spend all of this extra time helping them understand the information before they'll be ready to even make a buying decision. Now, the beautiful thing with SEO marketing, as you can see from this visual here, SEO marketing focuses on the latter two. We are creating content for people who are actively seeking information, looking for a solution. And then we're providing information for services or products that people are going to be purchasing to solve their problem. The path for the buyer is much shorter and much quicker, which means if you're getting found on Google, your buyers are already more primed to purchase. They're going to be a lot more ready to buy because they're going to Google looking to make a buying decision. Now, if that's not enough data to prove my point, let's talk about why ranking number 1 on Google is one of the best things that you could do for your business. So this is an old data stat here from smartinsights.com, circa 2020. And what they found is that if you rank number 1 on Google over here, this is what we're talking about. You're basically that first little option on the first page of Google. That the average click-through rate, CTR, okay, is 39.6%, y'all. 40% click-through rate. And that's not just for a week. That's not just for a day. That's not just for a month. That is every single day for at least a year, if not longer. You're getting 40% of all of the traffic, all of the people on the internet internationally who are searching for whatever that thing is, clicking on your piece of content. And then from there, we get down to the second position, averages around 18%, third position, averages around 10%, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously, the lower that you are on the first page, you're still getting clicks, but the number 1 spot is ideally where you want to be. And I think the thing that I want to hit home on here is how many pieces of content or even emails that you've written over the years have ever actually gotten a click-through rate of 40%? Probably none. But here's a stat. The average engagement on Instagram, okay? On the high end, we're talking a 3.38%. This is really frustrating for content creators when you're trying to run your business and build your business and you're pouring hours and hours and hours into your content and you get maybe 3.5% of your total audience engaging with your content. But on Facebook, it's even worse. We're not even at a full percent with any of these. And of course, this is where it can feel, again, really frustrating because you're spending all of your time creating all of this content, but no one's really seeing it. No one's engaging with it. It's just dying in the black hole of the social media algorithms. And so, what we're talking about is the compound effect of SEO marketing, right? You have a piece of content that is getting traffic, but not just the traffic that you're used to getting on one post for a day or for a week. You're building that traffic day in and day out for weeks, months, years on end. And I love to emphasize this because the compounded effect, right? The amount of traffic that you're going to be getting from a single blog post over here, month 1, it might feel really small. Maybe it's just a few views, but every single month it continues to grow. And so that one piece of content that you created 2 years ago is consistently driving traffic to your site, to your sales pages for years on end. Now we take that in comparison to something, maybe it's a viral, right? I'll give you guys the advantage here. We'll call it a viral piece of content on TikTok or Instagram. Sure, it might have a bunch of engagement for a very short period of time, but you'll see that it quickly drops off. And if you're not constantly producing, that lifespan of that one piece of content doesn't really serve you much longer. So let's talk about actual data here. Let's prove a point. So over here, we have a piece of content. This is one of my previous business partners, Mel Judson. And what you're seeing here is the actual data from 2020 through 2023 when we took this stat of a blog that we published on November 4th, 2019. This blog was averaging 18 views per month. Not impressive at the time. We were getting a lot more engagement on Instagram and Facebook back then. But over the course of 3 years, that blog post, you can see through this red line here, consistently grew in its engagement and reach. And this is not because we were constantly posting or putting more content on there or anything of the sort. This is all just organically through Google search. And so what we saw was that blog post after 3-4 years went from only 18 views per month to 802 views every single month. Again, I want you to really take that in. We're not just talking about a single time that you're getting traction from the content that you're creating. We're talking about that beautiful compound effect over here where you're consistently getting more traffic every single month from the effort that you're putting in. That's really the benefit, the reward of doing SEO marketing. And so we talk about the time that you're spending for your ROI, because this is a big question for business owners. If I'm spending all of this time or all of this money investing in these types of things, what is going to be that return on the investment? And I like to look at this as the time that you're spending. On average, for most people who are creating social media content, you're creating between 3 to 5 posts per week. You're spending at least 2 hours a day, if not more, depending on how engaged you are with your audience. Whereas with SEO content, if you're just creating blogs at the bare minimum, you're spending maybe 2.5 hours a week. You're decreasing the amount of time that you're spending on your content exponentially. And on top of that, your content lifespan is growing exponentially. You get time back and your content lives longer. So again, just to kind of bring this home here, ranking a number 1 on Google, which, fun stat, it's the biggest search engine in the world. We're talking 91% of all of the search traffic comes through Google. You are getting anywhere between 11,000 to 55,000% more traffic than Instagram or Facebook. Okay. And not only that, but here's again that compounded effect that I really want to hit home with. That content that you wrote a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago is continuing to drive traffic years and years on end. So let's summarize this. SEO marketing gives you better qualified buyers, predictable traffic with leads coming to you for free, higher click-through rates and conversions, and then you're spending even less time marketing and more time for client delivery, which means you have more room for actual income growth because you're not spending all of your time focusing on creating content. Okay. So then the question becomes, why aren't you doing it? And I think the answers are really simple here. When I ask this question, the responses that I typically get are, you know, it's something that you should be doing. You've heard about it, but it feels really overwhelming, or you don't know where to start or what platforms to pick. You're feeling really discouraged by how long you've heard it's going to take, and you don't know when to get started, or you don't want to start and know that you're doing it wrong. The biggest one is it feels too technical or confusing, and you'd rather stick with what you know. Now, let's simplify that. Here's all you really need. We're talking about MVP, or minimal viable product. If you are a service-based entrepreneur or business owner, meaning you have a local business or service that you provide to customers, whether it's online or in person, the first thing that is completely free is Google Business Profile. And I'll talk about that in a second. The second thing is a website. A website, ideally on WordPress. If you have it somewhere else, we can talk about that. And then the final thing is, ideally, you have a keyword optimized blog. Everything that we've been emphasizing up until this point has been talking solely about blogging and your website as the main SEO source. Now, I love to pair a blog and a piece of content with either a YouTube video or a podcast. I won't get into the details of that today, but these are amazing ways, especially if you're using YouTube, where you can leverage the second largest search engine in the world. And if you're somebody who prefers video content, then it's a beautiful way for you to create that kind of content that builds more trust and relationships with your audience. So how do you create your Google Business Profile? There's a video over here for you. It's on my YouTube channel here that you're already on. It will walk you through how to set it up step by step. It's completely free, and I think it takes maybe 15 minutes. And that's going to put you on the map. All you need is a business name, a business address, and a Gmail account. Boom, done. And what this does for you is, if you're somebody who's trying to get local traffic, you're somebody who's like trying to get found, if you're like a trauma coach, this was an older business that I had for somatic experiencing with SOAP. And what this does is, even if my website's not done on Google and I have a Google Business Profile or Google Business page, anytime somebody's searching for something like trauma coaching near me, I'm on the map. They're going to find me on the map, and they're going to go and read my reviews and look at it and want to learn more about what I'm doing. And so this is a really simple, easy, powerful way for folks who are just getting started or you want to start leveraging local SEO, local traffic, local search to get that. Okay. Now, again, this combined with things like reviews, you'll see our other one for the online business automator here. Easy ways to build trust. What do we do when we're searching on Google or when we're searching on Amazon or wherever we're searching to buy something? We go to see what the first few things are and then we read the reviews. So this is something that is minimal effort that will help already start boosting your credibility, your visibility, and there's very little work that has to go into it. Now, the other thing that's so important about this, and I think that most folks miss, is you have to know what people are searching for. And this is called keyword research. Probably the thing that most people are like, ugh. But we'll get into that. We'll talk more about it. I think the other thing that I want to answer here is, do you need a website? The answer to that is technically no, you do not have to have a website, but it does make a big difference. And I would highly recommend it if you are somebody who is serious about wanting to grow your business through search engines and SEO traffic in general. Now, benefits of a website, obviously, it's going to help to build your brand, your authority. And more importantly, it's going to help you get time back because you're not constantly having to respond to DMs and messages and constantly posting on social media. Your website needs to be built intentionally with a strategy in mind. It's built to answer client questions, generate leads, drive sales, and build your list. Over here, you can see a few fun benefits of having a website. Obviously, automating information delivery so that you don't have to keep answering that same question a million times about what services you offer or if it's the right fit for them. You're able to get more qualified applicants, gain credibility, boost your expert positioning, own your own assets. You don't have to worry again about like Instagram shadow banning or things like that. You're building a long-term reputation. You don't have to rely on trends. You're leveraging SEO content. You're able to receive things like press and interview opportunities. You're able to increase pricing and have more authority in that space of what you're doing. And it's just a beautiful way to market because you're not having to rely on constantly creating new content on social. Benefits of SEO on your site. Well, this is real estate. It's the best way to think of it. Your website is basically your digital home. It's what helps you to build authority, build credibility. So when people find you, they look at your site, and they make decisions based on what they're seeing. It's one of the best things that you can do for your business, in my personal opinion, depending on what stage you're at. It's a wonderful way for you to develop a lead generation strategy, which is the big focus that we've been hitting on. That website that you have is your central home for how everything comes together and how you get people coming to your site, finding you, and then choosing to join your list. You're able to create evergreen content, and then you're not, again, having to rely on that 24-hour social media burnout cycle. So I want to hit on this. A website is your 24/7 employee. It needs to do more than just look pretty. Okay. And I know this is hard for folks, especially who come from like more of an aesthetics background where you want things to look really beautiful and symmetrical. And it needs to also be strategically designed with a proven system that converts. It can't just be a pretty site. It needs to actually have intentionality and strategy behind the way that it's structured so that your traffic isn't just getting views, but it's converting those views into sales. Now, knowing how to have your site actually rank, this is a screenshot from a platform that we use called Ahrefs. These are all different types of keywords that our site is ranking for on the first and second page of Google, right? You want your site ranking. You want to get found on Google. And these are things that you can actually track, which I personally love. So you're not just getting consistent leads coming to your site, but you also want that traffic booking in with you, opting into your email list, finding you for different types of things, which is where, again, you have to know what you're trying to rank for. That's where the keyword research comes in. Now, over here, and I want to hit on this because this is a big question that comes up. These aren't just blogs that are ranking on Google. We're talking about our SEO agency that is ranking on Google. People are finding our agency on there. Our trauma coaching services are getting ranked on Google. Our course pages are getting ranked on Google. Our workshop pages are getting ranked on Google. So it's not just about creating blog content that ranks on Google. It's your entire site. And if you can create content that's optimized, where folks are finding you and they're opting in and they're saying, yes, I want to look for the best program out there for X, Y, and Z, you show up on Google. And let me go back over here. We've got workshop SEO or SEO workshop or DIY SEO courses. They land on our sales page and then they're able to go straight into making buying decisions. We get to shortcut all of that extra work. And that's really the goal. So let's talk about the evergreen content machine. It's catchy, eh? Okay. It's so much more than just a pipe dream. I think that's the biggest thing. And the only real myth about how evergreen content works, in my personal opinion, is this idea that it happens overnight, because it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm not going to lie to you and pretend that it does, because it doesn't. How evergreen content works, or how this machine works, is you have content, aka blogging, YouTube, podcast with a blog, important note, and you're able to distribute it in a strategic way. You could use Pinterest if you want, don't have to. Most businesses won't need this unless you're doing things like product based. And then you have your email list that you continue to sell to, and ideally you've automated this process, which continues to sell for you on autopilot. So it's just this really beautiful cycle where you only really have to focus on this guy over here, and everything else gets to come from that process. So how it works, kind of break it down a little bit more. Your website has all the information it needs. Your blog, right, your content, it drives traffic to your site from Google. People are looking for it. They opt into your email list. You have an email campaign nurture sequence that is already created and enrolls them into what you're doing. They sign up through your sales pages and your automated processes. And then all you have to focus on is creating quality content for your SEO platforms to continue to drive more traffic, and you get to scale. Fairly simple. Now, the other part of this is what we would call like the waterfall marketing strategy, which is basically how do you take one piece of content and make it work for you in multiple ways. And I think the biggest mistake that folks make here is they try to start with social media posts and they're like, how do I turn my social media post into a YouTube video or a blog? It's the other way around. You start up here with either a blog, a podcast, or a YouTube video, and then you use that to turn it into your other content. And so if you're focusing on, and what we do, and if you're on our list, you see this, we create one YouTube video that we launch a week. All of that content is pre-batched. We do that maybe 2 months plus ahead of time. So we always have content ready to go. And I spend maybe 4 to 5 hours a month creating my YouTube content. That YouTube content gets repurposed into our email content. And then that email content goes out and shares to our list. And then in addition to that, we are going to start going back to social media here to just share more of what we're putting on YouTube. And then you can also use things like simple, very, very simple ads to just boost traffic to your email list. So it's a simple way for you to continue to take one thing that you're doing and make it work for you in multiple ways, which is really, I think, the biggest goal for most business owners today. Now, the other question that we get is, how do you pick the best SEO platform? I'm going to just pause here. You can take a screenshot of this. It might be helpful for you. I would say the way that I would look at this, Pinterest is really only going to be the best for folks who are selling physical products of some sort. It's a visual platform. So if you have an Etsy shop or you have like clothing that you are an affiliate for, Pinterest is your go-to. If you are a content creator or an educator, YouTube and podcasting are going to be your best friend. But if you want to leverage SEO, your podcast needs to be paired with a blog, period. Okay. Podcasting by itself is not going to generate traffic because podcasts are not a search engine platform. So if you're just relying on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, your podcast isn't going to get any reach unless you are promoting it another way. Personally, my favorite two, YouTube and blogging, because again, we're talking Google here and YouTube here. Two biggest search engines. That's where I want to be. And this is what I would recommend for most business owners. But I also understand that most people don't like the idea of YouTube because it sounds really technical and you have to do camera and all of the other stuff. So you have options. Okay, moving on. Simple strategies. Simple. So the way that we teach SEO marketing, the way that we focus on supporting folks with these pieces is it's learning how to leverage things like AI. And I know folks have different varying opinions of this, so you get to decide how you want to use it. Leveraging AI and robots to write content for you, right? And of course, knowing how to leverage that content and make it feel like it is actually yours. This isn't about being unethical or just like creating a bunch of stuff that you're not actually qualified to be talking on or teaching. But what's important to understand here is you can use these tools to support you in speeding up the process and shortening that path to success. Additionally, helping you find what those keywords, the metadata, the keyword research, writing those descriptions for you. You learn how to create your core pieces of content, right? So if you're somebody who's like a trauma coach or you're somebody who's a therapist, you know that you want to be focusing on specific topics. These are going to be what are called your keystone pieces of content, right? And that's what you're building your site, your credibility, your traffic around. You can use Pinterest. And again, I would only really recommend this if you're somebody who's going to be a product-based business, meaning you're selling something that's like visual. Could be really great for web designers because you have that visual component, even though it's digital. And then knowing how to actually audit your site, knowing how to track these things. I think this is my favorite part about SEO is that you don't sit there and guess and wonder how you're doing. You can literally go and look at it every single day, and sometimes I do, to see what new keywords you're ranking for, how your content's performing, how it's improving, what other stuff you can create. So it gets to be something that's actually really simple when you start to learn the language. Now, the next question that we oftentimes get here is what assets do you actually need to migrate off of social media? And I'll say that loosely because you can use social if you'd like. And if you are somebody who wants to keep social, you can. But most folks, you're kind of in this funky place. The mandatory things, especially if you are a service provider or a business owner who's selling a service, you need to have an SEO optimized website or sales page with a blog. This is a non-negotiable. The other one is an email opt-in and email marketing system. I would highly, 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 highly encourage this. And there needs to be a way for you to take people from your site to your list so that, again, you can retarget. Over here, obviously, you want to have some sort of system set up for your sales and onboarding. Should be pretty straightforward. And then your SEO-based marketing system like YouTube, podcasting, etc. I say semi-optional over here because if you have a blog, that is more than enough. You can get by with just a blog. But if you really want to hit the ground running, YouTube, I think, is an amazing platform to continue to build it and such an awesome opportunity for other ways to generate cash flow. So then the question that we get a lot of the times is email dead? Nah, definitely not. It's still is and likely will always be the best way to market your business. And I think it's the best way, especially if you're trying to grow something that is evergreen, that's automated, that you can rely on. So building your list, again, it doesn't have to be complicated. You have a free opt-in. Here's the 3 biggest options. You've got a guide, got a workshop, you got a quiz. You have a nurture campaign, super simple. You promote your thing on whatever platforms, or you can use an ad campaign, either one, totally up to you. It drives traffic to your email list. They opt in, they're going through the nurture sequence. And then guess what? Now you can actually enroll them and share with them about different ways to work with you through your email list. So it's a simple process. It doesn't have to be complicated. And guess what? You can use AI to help you with these things. You can knock it out in a day. You could be like me and write 13 emails in a night. All right. So all jokes aside, you're starting hopefully to see how powerful evergreen content is. And if you're here, if you're watching this, let me know in the chat. Put a 1 in there if you are starting to see this, if you're finding it helpful. I would love to know. The next question, and the biggest thing that folks are probably wondering at this point is, well, how do I transition from a social media-based business, meaning all you do is use social media, to creating an evergreen content-based automated marketing system? And I get this question a lot because obviously it's not going to be you going cold turkey. It's a process, it's a transitional process, and it takes a little bit of time. So my suggestion for folks is to give yourself 6 months, and depending on how aggressively you want to go at these things, you start to slowly tamper off of your social content and you start to ramp up on your SEO content. And this doesn't all have to happen at once. You can be prepping and batching and then have all of this content ready to go So as your SEO content is ranking and growing in visibility and reach, you can start to rely less on the other platforms that have been your main lead source for your business. So again, I think it's important to emphasize here, we're not trying to sell you this idea that you're going to do this overnight or that it's going to be a 90-day, like magically ranking on all of the things. It's a process. And you have to think about how your business is currently generating traffic, generating revenue, generating leads. So you want to look at how you can marry the two. So SEO and evergreen marketing are not instant gratification strategies. I feel like we've hit on this a lot here, but one more time just for fun. Um, these are not instant gratification strategies, but they are worth it. And I hope that if anything in the last 45 minutes here, you are really starting to see why it is so worth it, why it is so powerful, and how you can start to see results. And I think the other thing that I want to hit on, the piece that folks ask us about or share about, is they feel like it's going to take forever. But the reality is you can actually start seeing incredible results in 3 to 6 months. And then from there, it just continues to snowball. It continues to grow, to improve. So the way that I would invite you to think about SEO marketing is like investing. Every piece of SEO content that you create is like creating a new asset in your investment portfolio. It's going to build interest that's going to pay off in dividends in the years to come. Yeah, of course, it will help you generate revenue in the short term for your business. And the other thing that I want you to really think about here is, how are you planning for retirement in your business? How are you planning to have a business that's not just getting you through the next day or the next month or the next year, but a business that's setting you up for life so that you're not having to always be working online? Okay. And my question is, how are you currently investing in your long-term retirement from your business? If you're not really sure how right now, and this is maybe the first time that you've thought about this or that this has become a concept for you, well, no stress. We're here to help. Have some fun. We believe that the future belongs to those who automate their online business and own their time freedom. Your time is the most important asset that you have, bar none. And if you learn how to leverage these things, how to make them work for you, then you will be able to do so much more in your life, in your business, with your impact, whatever it is that your main goals are. Now, again, I think at this point, y'all have started to build a bit more of a relationship with me. I'm not here to tell you that you can't do these things on your own, because you absolutely can. But here's the reality of what that looks like. You can spend the next 1, 2, 3 years pushing through, making every DIY mistake, like I did, like my business partners did. You can hire a bunch of rookie VAs and designers that don't really know what to deliver or how to deliver it, or you don't even know what you're tracking. You can run that fun starting and stopping pattern like we did in our early few months of YouTube, and you can keep wondering if you're on the right track with everything. Totally possible. But we're here, hopefully, to save you hours and hours and hours of stress and overwhelm, and help you really build something that's going to work for you, something that's automated, a system that works, a system that makes sense, that is easy to implement and take action on. And so in the next couple minutes here, as we're coming towards the end of this workshop, I want to share with you about our SEO program. So this isn't just a course, it's actually a program that we're going to be running live starting in February for folks who are wanting to build exactly this. So Coffee and Keywords is our program. And it's really built to help you create and leverage everything that we've just spent the last 45 minutes going over. So if it's okay with all of you, I'm going to share more about how this program works, all of the details. If you feel complete here, amazing. I'll save a little time at the end once we talk about this and answer any questions that you might have. So if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll get over to them. But let's go ahead and dive on in. So Coffee and Keywords is really designed to help you build that business that can run without you, to help you build that marketing machine that you don't necessarily need to constantly be relying on. And the way that we do it is through 3 core steps. 1, as you've probably learned, you need to have an email list and you need to have that piece set up. Number 2, knowing how to actually optimize your site. How do you actually set yourself up for success with SEO? And then number 3, the most important one, which we'll probably spend all of our time on, is scaling through SEO marketing. Now, oh, I love this. This is great. Good job on the gradients team. What kind of results can you actually get with coffee and keywords, or C and K for a short? The first thing that we like to focus on here is you're actually building that SEO marketing system, something that works for you 24/7, things that are getting you to rank, that are building that compounded interest for your business. The second thing is you're building omnipresence, aka you're able to consistently get found. People know you. You become a staple in your industry. And then most importantly, you're building opt-in sequences, assets, things that people are going to be able to find you for so that you're not relying on social media algorithms. You're getting found, people are coming into your list, you have these systems set up, and they're enrolling for you on autopilot. That's thanks. That's the magic of what we're talking about here. So when you're committed, or when you commit to building an automated value-driven business, mouthful there, this is really what, in my personal opinion, I believe is gonna help you thrive online. It's not just about being the most flamboyant or creative, it's about knowing how to read data and leverage it to your advantage. And that's really what we wanna show you how to do. So the course modules are pretty straightforward here. Don't let the tech scare you, is what I'll say. We dive into a few important things. The first one is understanding how to get started with time analysis, um, and more so analysis of your actual site. So, how do you actually understand how your site is doing, set it up for Google, get the tools that you need on Google so you can always measure your metrics? You don't guess, you know, you can see what you're actually ranking for, you can know what you need to improve, how people are finding you, all of that fun stuff. Module 2 goes more into Google SEO fundamentals for my service-based business owners. This is where you'll learn how to set up your Google business profile, how to optimize these things, how to use analytics, all of that fun stuff. Module 3 will be more of the heavy lifting, which is where we get into keyword research. And keyword research is the most important thing of your SEO marketing strategy. This is where you'll learn how to actually find high value keywords that are going to boost your business's profitability. How do you actually get found for what your people are looking for and not just getting a bunch of random traffic from people that aren't actually interested in your services? Module 4, team, we need to clean this one up a wee bit. That keyword research part, continuing to focus in on what you're doing here, how to leverage that keyword research, take it in the blog content, build your blog content, and then we get into SEO that drives sales. So the whole preface of what we're doing here, we're focusing on optimizing your content, creating content that is ranking, learning how to leverage technical SEO, which is basically on-page and off-page SEO. How are you writing the content? How are you implementing keywords into your metadata, into your meta descriptions? If this sounds like gibberish, this will explain all of that. And then most importantly, we're going to show you how to actually optimize your homepage and your sales page. So we don't just want blogging content ranking, we want your services ranking on Google. We want people to search for what you do and then find your services and purchase directly from you. That is the quickest path to generate profit. And then we get into batching blog content. So the first 6 pieces here that we just covered are really about building the foundations. And then 7 and 8 here, this is where we're going to be living. This is where we get to spend the majority of our time. Module 7 is really about helping you turn blogging into this machine for yourself, how to use it to consistently build traffic, grow leads, get your business off the ground, and to do it in the minimal amount of time possible so that you can shortcut your path. And then finally, because I've been talking so much about YouTube over here, we're going to actually show you how to set up, launch, and run your YouTube channel on your own if you'd like, so you can use that for your own benefit. Now, what's included in this? So this is a 4-month live program, but I think the thing I want to emphasize is all of the programs that we've run over the last 5 years, they're lifetime access. So when folks invest in what we're doing, they're not just investing in a 4-month sprint, they're investing in it and they have access to the calls, the community, the content, everything for life, which means all of the fun iterations. So you have a lifetime access to all of the content that will be continuing to optimize and update. We will have the mobile app and the community component, which is again where you can reach out, get support, ask questions. You'll have all of our resources and our cheat sheet for all the things you need. We'll be providing, for those of you who don't already have one, a simple WordPress website template. Um, On top of that, we'll be adding in the bonus here for your copywriting guides. So how do you actually need to write your copy for your site so that it's going to be optimized? And then your YouTube channel templates. So these are some fun bonuses down below. Your YouTube channel templates, these are things like your header, your thumbnails, your cover photos, so that you can, again, hit the ground running. So again, bonuses that you can see here, if you don't have the website, don't worry about it. We're going to set you up with that. You're going to be good to go. Bonus number 2, the copywriting guides. This is going to speed that process up. If you're not a pro copywriter, don't worry, you don't need to be. We're going to help you out with that. And then bonus number 3 is that YouTube channel templates. So if you are somebody who wants to go into YouTube, this is going to shortcut that path for you. Over here are just a few case studies that we like to talk about. Olivia, she actually grew her Instagram to 100K followers in a very short period of time, but ran into the issue of feeling overwhelmed and flooded with DMs. And so we switched that up for her. We set up these systems and allowed her to have the space to where she didn't actually have to constantly be replying to DMs, posting on social media, but still generating traffic, leads, sales. Sarah, she actually was a fitness coach who was spending 10 to 20 hours a week on sales calls and DMs. So focusing more so here on the issues with having a business that is not automated and streamlined. So what we did there, simple process, we cleaned up her sales systems, we cleaned up the way that she was driving traffic, built out that sales page, and she was able to actually get a lot of her time back, remove sales calls completely, and continue making sales without needing to rely on those pieces. And over here, there's actually a full case study on our site that you can check out. So she came out of burnout, chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, and had to figure out how to rebuild, but in a way that worked for her. And so what we did is we built out everything that we just talked about in the last 55 minutes here, and helped her create a business that runs for her. So all she gets to focus on is just recording her podcast content, creating her blog content, and working with clients, and continues to have a fully booked out wait list and people wanting to work with her. So let's talk about pricing. The way that we're running this program for the 4-month sprint is we're doing a pay in full option for $19.97, so about $2K. There are payment plans available, the lowest starting at $197 per month. Accessibility is obviously something that we care about. So for those of you who are like, I don't have the cash flow to put in on the front end at that level, then you have the option to come in at a more cost-effective option as well. Now let's go over everything that's included in here when you join the Coffee and Keywords program. Obviously, number 1, lifetime access to the curriculum, to the content, to all of the future updates and all of the calls. You'll have over 100 different videos, templates, tutorials showing you how to do everything. You'll have 2 weekly calls, so we'll actually meet twice a week. We'll have one call, it will be strictly implementation, meaning what we're covering that week, we're going to go through it together on a call and make sure everybody's able to set these things up. I know that's the biggest problem that folks have is it's hard to watch a video and know how to do something. So we have a call every week dedicated to doing it with you. The second call each week is more of a general Q&A where you get to ask questions, get support, get hands-on feedback, reviews, etc. Again, lifetime access to the community, resource and cheat sheets, and then these fun bonuses, the website template, the copywriting guides, and YouTube channel templates. So what other kind of results can you expect? Can you think about? Can you predict? Well, some of the things that we've seen just from implementing these tools and these resources are things like having major funding come through because of the changes that you're making, because you have more of an authority through your website, through your brand. Being able to scale through just having an optimized sales page, people finding you have a list, you have a simple system that's set up, that's working for you, driving traffic, and able to scale it to over $1 million in sales. Now, again, this isn't going to be for everybody, but some folks are able to make it happen. Prestigious press features, so things like getting promoted on Business Insider, Forbes, CNN, these are possible because you have these systems in place, because you built the authority. And then, of course, being able to transition off of doing things like just one-to-one work to having either a membership or a subscription or a course that grows for you so you don't have that same income ceiling. So Coffee and Keywords, like we said, it's a live 4-month program. It starts on February 17th, 2025, so in exactly 1 month. And it is a lifetime access program. You can get started today. It's $19.97 paid in full. And then there are payment plan options available on the checkout page linked below. Liv, if you're still here, if you can post that link in the chat, that'd be awesome. And we'll add it to the description of this video. So sassanSEO.com/DIY SEO course. And that will have all of the details and information that you need for getting started. So over here, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears into questions that you may be having. So if you have questions that have come up through this, we'll go ahead and answer those now. And then while we're answering those, I'll go ahead and just leave this page up here for anyone that needs that link. Awesome. Okay. So this is a great one. Read podcasts and blogs as a winning combo. And let me put my face on here. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Hi, it's me. Okay, so podcasts and blogs as a winning combo. Is this only if you're hosting a podcast, or can it be leveraged with guest appearances on other blogs or podcasts? So sort of, not exactly, because you don't have as much control over what other platforms or people are going to be sharing or how they're going to be positioning your content. So that would be more considered something like a collaborative affiliate type strategy than an actual SEO strategy. I would say it's more advantageous if you're creating a podcast with a blog. And I say that because you have to have the blog that actually gets the traffic going to it. Otherwise, your podcast is solely relying on you promoting it on social media or to your list or to other people, however you want to do it. And then you'll have full control over the content you're creating. And so the big thing that we focus on, whether you're blogging, whether you're podcasting, whether you're YouTubing, is you need to do the research first. You have to know what you're researching to create the content on, so that the content you're creating is actually content you want to get found for. And of course, with podcasting especially, you have more freedom and leverage to have lengthy conversations. So for folks who like to share and talk, it's a great option. It's a great option. It can work really well. I think if you're somebody who prefers to be more educational and get straight into the nitty-gritty, YouTube is an amazing way to do that. So it just depends on what your preference is and what your style is. But I would say I would not solely rely on being featured in other people's content, because you don't have full control over what you're going to get found for and how you're going to get found and how they're optimizing their content on their pages. So what's more advantageous is to create your own. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, y'all, I am very impressed. We officially nailed this whole training in an hour. If you have questions, if you have anything that y'all are needing support with, feel free to reach out. You can comment on the channel video here, or you can reach out directly via email at soph@sassandseo.com, or sorry, yeah, soph@sassandseo.com. And then we'll go ahead and put this link in here as well. Dun. And then if you're looking for those free resources, like I said before, you can find everything that you need if you're wanting to try to DIY this. You don't have to do with the program. Would highly recommend it though. The keyword research, there's an entire video on our channel that goes over how to do keyword research for YouTube, how to do keyword research for blogging, how to set up your Google business profile. So go ahead and check out those videos to help you out. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing those of you who are going to be joining us inside of the program. One more question. Do you have any thoughts on a blog living on your site compared to a platform? Yeah, I do actually. I have a lot of opinions about that. Substack, I would advise against, because everything is linked to your domain name. So if you're using something like Substack or Kajabi or any of the other third-party platforms, they're actually going to be more detrimental than helpful for SEO, because SEO is all around your domain name and your website. So everything needs to be cohesive in one platform with one domain. Meaning if you have a Substack that's like sophie.substack.com, Substack is getting the credibility. Substack is getting the domain links. Not what I want. So if you're blogging and you're blogging intentionally, and I think this is the other part of that question is, are you blogging just to share your life? Are you blogging to build traffic and generate leads and build a machine? Because if it's the latter, then you want to have your blog on your site because people are going to come to your site, and then you have more freedom to control how your blog pages are set up and how you're incorporating things like your opt-ins, so that when people find your blog content, they read the blog content, they opt into your email list, and now they're in your nurture campaign that you've already set up, is ready to go, and then they're going into your sales process. So hopefully that answers that. Awesome. Great questions. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining. It's been a joy. I'm going to go rest my voice here. It's getting a little crass. And I hope to see you all in future lives. If you have questions again, feel free to comment on the channel, and my team and I will get back to you. Otherwise, if you want to reach out directly, I'll put my email here as well. So soph@sauceandseo.com. And I look forward to seeing y'all in